The moment has finally come, guys. Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Was it worth it? Is it 4 hours of trash? We're about to let you know on today's Snyder Cut. Oh, I was going to say like Snyder Cut Sunday, but we released this on Tuesday. Snyder Cut Tuesday. That's it. The review's here. We're going to give you that spoiler-free option, and then we're going to just lay it all down and give you all the nitty-gritty details. Welcome to the Packcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Van Suarez.
I'm Jacob Wade.
And I am Logan Riley Bruner.
First off,
before we get
I'm so sorry. We have to clean the house.
We do, because first of all, we released, as talked about on the last podcast, we released an interview with the fantastic Regan Sims. She gave us some really succinct answers to our questions. We were really excited to have her. She always gets like right to the point. She's very smart. So it was always great to hear from her. That being said, we don't really have any other housekeeping except for there's one very special announcement that I do have to make. And that is on Saturday, co-founder Jacob Wade celebrated his birthday. And so that was very exciting. We had a lot of fun together. Or we're going to in the future. I'm saying that we did because this airs on Tuesday.
It's weird to talk
in the future for us.
Yes.
It's weird to talk about the future in the past tense.
Yes. So happy birthday, Jacob.
We love you, Jacob.
We love you. We're so excited that we get to do this thing with you every week. You're at a distance, but we still feel connected.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys.
That's all I have for housekeeping. If you guys have anything else.
I mean, the only thing I have on my mind is the Snyder Cut, baby.
I wore my Flash shirt.
Yeah, see, I have like a Superman hat, but it's all dusty and dirty. I didn't want to, do my man Superman like that. First, spoiler-free general reviews. Jacob, you and I, a couple weeks prior to the Snyder Cut, watched the theatrical cut of Justice League in its entirety. Logan, you were there for about half of it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start with you, Jacob. General spoiler-free thoughts on the Snyder Cut.
Spoiler-free thoughts. I would like to say that I loved how Zack Snyder gave each character a full arc, and honestly gave these characters scenes that felt like they could be part of standalone films or like just universes, and merge them together with this unifying vision that I did not feel or see in the theatrical cut of Justice League. There were a lot of questions that I had answered. There was a lot that was just so much better executed. I don't know how to phrase that better, but there were more fight sequences, and just it was thoroughly entertaining. I wasn't bored once in those 4 hours of movie. It was almost double the amount of movie, and it felt like almost double the amount of movie, but I was so satisfied throughout all of it. Yeah, I'm going to pass the baton. I have more to say.
But specifics, we'll have to wait. Logan, how about you? Give us your thoughts. Especially, I'm interested in your thoughts because, you saw the first half.
I did.
And it seemed like you were a big fan of the theatrical cut.
I was not.
And so there was this entire new second half that was opened up to you.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
I loved it. I'm trying not to curse, so I'm not going to curse, but I loved it. It was my favorite Zack Snyder project that I've ever seen, by a long shot. And the thing that I would say most of all is to you, Zack Snyder, if you do happen to come across this podcast, I beg you, just start making miniseries. It's where you're good. Like, find somebody to give you that Game of Thrones money and make a miniseries, because it was a 4-hour movie that honestly should have been a 6-part miniseries. There was a moment during, I think, like part 4 or 5 that I looked over at Jeremy and I went, this is the start of an episode. Like, we've just finished the previously on and right into the action. And I was thoroughly impressed by the care and dedication and the true love that he seemed to have for these characters, the respect that he had for Cyborg and Flash and Wonder Woman, the removal of all the cringe humor and gross jokes and the Flash doesn't know how to talk to anybody. It really felt like, rather than two-dimensional characters that were focused on one aspect of a character's personality, they were full fleshed out characters who had full arcs with full lives. I really, really respect Zack Snyder for what he did with this movie. It was extremely well shot. And my normal issue with Zack Snyder is that I feel like his movies are moments and not scenes. There was an entire essay that I watched on this that was, he really focuses on getting the moment, getting the shot, making it beautiful. And with the amount of time he was given, with the 4 hours, I didn't feel that at all. All the scenes were there. Everything made sense. All the setup, all the payoff. It really worked, which is why I think miniseries are where he's going to find his stride. He makes really good movies. His movies are cool. But given the space and given the time and given the kind of care and love that television is really getting nowadays, I think it's where he's going to find his best work of his career. And I would really, if I was a friend of Zack Snyder, which I'm not, I would encourage him to pursue that avenue more thoroughly. It feels like it's going to be where he really finds his calling. After this film, it blew the theatrical version out of the water. Having only watched the first half of the theatrical version, I remember getting 20 minutes into that movie and being like, I already don't like this. I'm bored. I don't care. None of these scenes make sense. This feels like I'm like out of order. I don't know where I am. I don't know why I'm supposed to care. But this version really, really, really delivered just on all fronts. I could keep talking about it, and I will later. But for now, Jeremy, give us your thoughts.
There is a certain grandeur that comes with the Justice League Snyder Cut. I was thinking about this morning. You know, we've been seeing DC movies on their back foot ever since Iron Man, right?
Yeah.
We've been seeing them constantly try to play catch up. They scrapped their plans for Man of Steel 2 and replaced it with Batman versus Superman, which was just a Justice League prologue, and they fit in Batman and Wonder Woman. Like, it was too many things at once, because they were simply just trying to play catch up with this incredible universe that the MCU has created. And with the Snyder Cut, to me, it feels like they've caught up somehow. The scale, the epicness of the Snyder Cut honestly reaches Infinity War Endgame levels, which is insane considering that we haven't met half of this cast in their own standalone movie. Going off of what Jacob said, we get origin stories, we get villain motivations, we get set up for the future, we get, oh my gosh, this truly is like a miniseries, like Game of Thrones, like Lord of the Rings levels of epicness. And I'm just like, yes, sign me up for the Snyderverse. Sign, you know, and it makes me so sad to know that whatever plans that DC had for the future post Justice League have been scrapped, because this Snyder Cut would have brought me over to the DC train.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly and sincerely. The action is there. The epicness is there. The character development is there. The cinematography is there. The epic music cues, the visuals, everything about this movie. For a 4-hour movie, it's digestible. It doesn't feel like it drags. And it's just, it's an achievement on Zack Snyder's part. And it's crazy to see the differences between the original and this. I remember when we were watching the original theatrical Justice League that we were able to be like, that's Zack Snyder, that's Joss Whedon, that's Zack Snyder, that's Joss Whedon. And for the most part, we were right. We were right on our guesses.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, if you would have told me in 2020 that the most hype movie of 2021 was going to be Justice League and that I was going to enjoy it, I would have been like, yeah, right.
Sure.
But like, I'm a believer now. I am a believer, and it's so worth it. It was so worth the wait.
Before we dive into spoilers, because I feel like we're all standing right on the edge of that, there's been a lot of conversation in the comic book community now, where people are saying things like release the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, and like release the Jenkins cut of Wonder Woman, or just like naming directors and being like, release their cut, get DC out of there, let the directors do what they wanted to do. And I wanted to comment on that real quick. The reason that the Snyder cut needed to be released and deserved to be released is that Zack Snyder had his vision stolen from him. Zack Snyder was almost done with this movie, and his daughter tragically passed away. And then another director came in, saw what he was doing, and said, I don't like that. I'm going to reshoot the whole thing.
Well,
he reshot the whole thing.
There were a lot of reshoots from Joss Whedon's part as
The
well.
original Justice League used 10% Zack Snyder shots and 90% Joss Whedon shots.
which means that technically there are some Joss Whedon shots in the.
Sorry, that was
My door just opened, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe the cat was getting allowed entry.
Maybe.
It was just funny to
Anyway.
see like someone behind you like poke their head in and realize you were doing the podcast and then close the door.
Yeah. Anyway,
You're saying
there have to be some Joss Whedon shots in this Snyder cut. There have to be
There's
some.
not. It's all there's
Are you telling me?
apparently of the 4 hours, 5 minutes were reshoots that Zack Snyder did, and the rest was his vision.
Wow.
5 minutes?
5 minutes.
And I know
think it was
what the
the
5
ending.
minutes is.
I
Which
think
is,
it was the ending.
But also, how do you shoot for a month for 5 minutes worth of?
You're doing a
Movie.
really important scene that you have
I
to do
suppose.
COVID regulations for,
Yeah. Okay, that's true too.
because they had
COVID,
to shoot
yeah.
every actor individually.
Must have been a pain.
Yeah. The difference between this and like release the Ayer cut and release the whoever cut is that those directors, while yes, their visions were corrupted by corporate, they were still able to make their movie. Do they deserve to make their own movies in the future? Sure. Do I think we need to start releasing director's cuts for every DC movie? No, absolutely not. This was a special circumstance where this director deserved to be able to make his vision, and I'm glad that he was able to. I said a couple podcasts ago that I would give this movie a fair shake, and I would, at the end of it, say that this movie rested on Zack Snyder. This movie rested on Zack Snyder, and he delivered. He delivered so well and so impressively. The original version felt like a bunch of corporate people got in a room and said, how do you make a superhero movie? And this version felt like a comic book fan made a superhero movie. And it was so cool.
Yeah, the theatrical cut almost felt like it was trying to be the Avengers,
yes.
And-
I completely agree.
and this one didn't feel that way at all.
Right.
Any hints of similarity gone, and I was so impressed.
Yeah. The interesting thing about Zack Snyder is that he's always been interested in crafting that dark, gritty realness of superheroes, right? He tried to do it with Watchmen. He tried to do it with Man of Steel. Some people like those movies, some people don't. But I really think that this is the purest version of that goal, of that vision in the Snyder cut of Justice League. Yes, there are still moments of levity. Like, don't get me wrong, there are still some funny moments, but
And you need them.
and you need them because this movie is it's serious, it's dark, it's worthy of its R rating because there is blood and some F-bombs thrown here and there. But like, okay, I don't know how this is gonna be received. But I feel like Marvel makes comic book movies. The Snyder Cut felt like a graphic novel movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I will say that I liked Watchmen as a movie.
I did like Watchmen as well.
I liked, Zack Snyder's graphic novel movie, And I think he did better with this Justice League cut. I think we should get into spoilers, guys, because I don't want to hold my tongue anymore.
Spoiler alert, everyone. If you don't want to be
Spoiler.
spoiled, you can go down to the description and click on the timestamp where the spoilers are done.
5, 4,
Final warning.
3,
You guys gotta go away.
2, 1. Okay.
Okay, I want to start with Steppenwolf, Desaad, and Darkseid.
Woo!
Desaad and Darkseid, we got absolutely zero of in the original movie. So when Wonder Woman goes into that museum and like sees all the murals, that Darkseid portrait wasn't actually in the theatrical cut.
Oh yeah, it was all Steppenwolf.
That it was all Steppenwolf. When Wonder Woman tells Batman about the age of heroes and that big battle, that's also Steppenwolf.
Mhm.
And so just like Darkseid is scary, man.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Thanos and I'm like, who cares about you? You're fucking terrifying.
Mhm.
You're just out here turning planets into lava with your like cool laser eyes.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's kind of what surprised me the most. That there was a point where I was kind of like, yeah, go Steppenwolf. Get that redemption. Turning Steppenwolf from just being like this lone wolf conqueror to being like, I am trying to redeem myself in service of a higher power.
He turned from Thanos into Steppenwolf. Like in the theatrical cut, it felt like it was just Thanos, and it felt like they were stealing like the boxes were just the stones, and like all of the themes of Thanos and all he stands for were just put into Steppenwolf, and I didn't like that at all about the theatrical cut.
Let's also talk about his character design, which has had a
Oh my
radical
God.
reinvention.
That armor.
Remodeled.
That armor is sexy. That face. He's like, there was, I think it's the first time that we see him talking to the side, that there's so much character in the CGI face. Like, this villain is crying in front of us, being like, I want to be forgiven. And I'm like, forgive him.
Right?
Yo, shouts out to the actor behind Steppenwolf. The voice actor. I don't know if the voice actor also did the mocap, but just that performance was a really great CGI performance. Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Zack Snyder, for giving villains some depth.
Yeah.
They're often glossed over.
That's something that even Marvel movies struggle to do. And Zack was able to give it to us in, granted, a 4-hour film, but one film.
He had time. He had the time to give everybody their own space. And he also didn't feel the need to add collateral damage for no reason. There's no longer any family hiding under the table in Chernobyl. Like,
that was also one of the things that Jeremy and I were really struggling with while watching the theatrical cut, is that Joss Whedon kept cutting back to this Russian family cowering under a table, like, and a 20-minute scene would go by, and then they'd cut back to the scare monsters scaring a family. And we didn't care about this family. We don't know who they are. We just know that they represent fear. Like,
and at the end of the day, it ends up being in service of a moment for Flash, which is like, Flash gets to save this family. Oh, so cool. In this movie, Flash reverses time.
Oh, that scene was
No
so
comparison.
sexy.
Ezra Miller, I have loved Ezra Miller for a long time. I think he's a really great actor. His performance in this movie is awesome.
yeah.
It's funny, but it's also nuanced. There's a moment when he gets shot, and I almost wish the shot had been like more brutal. It looked like just a burn on the side, but it was still like, the thing that sold the moment was not the makeup. It was not the like, oh wow, that looks so bad. It was hearing Ezra Miller's voice quiver as he's saying like, I just got the wind knocked out of me, I'll be fine. It was this like, I have to be a man because I have to stand for something attitude that was completely missing from the Flash in the theatrical version. The Flash is not a bumbling idiot. The Flash is not some geeky kid who doesn't know how to talk to girls and, oh, it's so funny because he lands on top of Wonder Woman. No, the Flash is a full fleshed out character who's smart. If you've watched the DC show on CW, the Flash is an intelligent character. He works at Star Labs. He's not an idiot. To make him an idiot in the theatrical cut just for the service of like, oh, comic book fans will relate to this character because they don't know how to talk to girls.
No, that's just you, Joss.
Yeah, way to insult our intelligence. Like,
Or also just like use him as comic relief.
I mean, he's still comic relief in this movie, I'd say. Like, out of all our characters, he is our comic relief character.
Yeah, but it's also like not all of his scenes are funny. They can be light-hearted without being like ha ha punchline funny.
and instead of him being the only punchline deliverer, we got humor from Aquaman. We got
And
humor
Batman.
from Batman. We got like, they all had humor as a way to deflect from the fact that they were scared or didn't really want to be in this fight. They all had motivation and reason to crack jokes rather than, well, we need to make it funny because if we don't make it funny, they're not going to like it.
Also, thank you, Zack Snyder, for pointing out that they don't work well together as a team at first. And it's something that they have to work towards, which I felt was missing from the theatrical cut.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
struggle to work together.
100%. But in the theatrical cut, it's like some Justice League, they're not really working well together. But like in this one, it makes sense. In the Snyder cut, it makes sense.
Just going back to Flash really quick, the scene where he saves the girl who is actually supposed to be Iris, the
Yeah.
Flash's main love interest.
Yeah.
Where he saves Iris from that car crash. Ever since the first trailer for the Snyder cut, that scene in particular has always caught my eye, where he saves her in slow motion, and as they're making eye contact, it's like in the background, and it is just as good, if not better, in the movie. Zack Snyder has,
He's perfected sequences.
yeah, he has this weird like admiration. Like when Logan said moments, it has me thinking of two scenes in particular, that Flash scene and when Aquaman is going back into the water, because for a second the movie becomes a music video. And you're like, well, what does this have to do with the movie? And it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's pretty and it's beautiful, and you feel something that is unspoken. Aquaman is he's going back in slow motion to his water, and the song is like, I am a king with no kingdom or something. And you're like, okay, here's our Thor character who denies his sovereignty, that his lineage that's being passed on to him. And then we get this Flash character that is just like, in a moment you could fall in love like the rain on the car, like, and it's you like it's like that's your origin story right there. That's all you need to be like, this is who the Flash is as a person. Yes, he's goofy. Sure, he's gonna stick a hot dog in his pocket while he's saving this girl from a deadly car crash, but he's caring, and he's it was, yes.
I don't need the half hour at the beginning of the Flash movie to be how Flash got his powers. Honestly, at this point, after seeing all the superhero movies that we've seen over the years, I don't care. I'm really not in a place where I'm like, man, I wonder how Flash got his powers. He's got his powers and he knows how to use them. Great.
Yeah.
He understands what he's doing. Cool.
Also, thank you for bringing this up, because it's another point I want to make about Cyborg. Thank you for cutting all the, I don't know what to do with all this information. I'm changing. I'm a monster. You made me this monster. All of that, cut. Cyborg is adapting smart, strong, and like
Cyborg for me was a person who has dealt with depression, understanding a character with depression, and not someone who thinks they know what depression is, dealing with a character with depression. Joss Whedon's version. I'm gonna stop saying Joss Whedon did and just say like Joss Whedon and corporate, because I don't know who to blame for some of these things.
True.
Joss Whedon and corporate's version made Cyborg the stereotypical, I'm gonna lash out and be angry and
Frankenstein's
I don't understand.
monster.
You
Yeah,
turn
I
me
don't know
into a
what's happening to me.
monster.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder's Cyborg still was dealing with the darkness of like, I died and was resurrected. I don't have a mother anymore. My father betrayed me. I don't feel like he loves me.
And now I look like this.
He made me look like this, and it mattered. It felt like it mattered. It felt like he cared. It felt like he mattered.
Yeah.
And that was just awesome to me.
Yeah.
Cyborg's arc it's just like it's incredible. It really is. From again with these big moments that Zack Snyder's made. There's this moment where, you know, it's Cyborg before the incident, the car crash, and he's like playing this excellent football game and it looks absolutely beautiful. And like me as an audience member, I'm like, even though I know what's about to happen, I'm like, yes, go Cyborg, go get that touchdown by that much. And then the crash happens and immediately you're like, oh, like you just feel so many things for Cyborg that the theatrical cut really just tried to put in one scene, right? Because that's what it is. In the theatrical cut, we're not going to give enough time to make Cyborg a full-fledged character, so we're going to give out his whole deal in this 1 5-minute scene in the first act of the movie. The Snyder cut is Cyborg is a character, as he should be, and he's going to have an arc. He's not just going to be important or dealing with his darkness in one scene. He's going to be dealing with it throughout the whole thing. And by the end of it, he's going to stare himself in the face and say, I'm not broken.
It's great.
And that is so important to Cyborg as a character. I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
It brings, I think everything that we've talked about thus far brings up the point of how in the world did Joss Whedon and corporate look at some of these scenes and say, nah, we don't need that.
Because Joss Whedon and corporate, no, you know what? Corporate thinks that the masses can't handle a long movie like this. Because listen, some of these scenes are long. I can watch the Snyder cut and be like, not I understand why these scenes were cut, but I guess if I was like in a corporate chair, just to be like, I get it. I get it. This is a long movie. Audiences already complain if a movie is 3 hours. It's amazing that you know that Endgame, being the length that it is, was able to reach #1 worldwide box office, now #2. But this is the way that Justice League was meant to be. This is the way that it's meant to be seen. It's supposed to be this incredible epic.
They should have just made Justice League Part 1 and 2. It should have been a 2-part movie. It should have been this length from the jump, because as much as I can, as a producer, look at certain scenes and be like, okay, I could probably trim this down. I could cut a little bit of this. This scene doesn't really need to be there, but it's pretty, so like we kept it in. But there's a lot of stuff. There's a moment that like I think the reason this scene was cut, in particular, is because Joss Whedon and corporate is very patriarchal. There's a scene where Wonder Woman is looking at a little girl. It's 5 seconds. It's 5 seconds of screen time. That this girl goes, "Can I be like you?" And Wonder Woman says, "You can be anything you want to be." How do you watch that and go, nah, we don't need that in our superhero movie. We don't need the only black character in the movie to have any backstory. We don't need the woman to have any character. What we really need is Batman and Wonder Woman having a love story. What we really need is Flash being inappropriate with Wonder Woman, because, we've got to sexualize the woman for the men in the audience.
It's really interesting how far superhero movies have come. 20 years ago, we were probably just getting like the first Spider-Man movie, and superheroes were still for nerds and like geeks, and now we've come to a point where superheroes are so mainstream that they've almost become too mainstream. Not in like a sense of like gatekeeping, but like in a sense that like corporate is like, this is the formula for a good team up superhero movie. You need a little bit of comedy, you need a little bit of this, and it's like, no, we still need to find ways to push the medium forward. And I think in some ways that the Snyder Cut pushes that superhero medium forward. And I think that it would, the only smart thing for DC to do would be to follow that lead, because what Zack Snyder has set up for the DC universe is like, it's on par with what Kevin Feige set up for the Marvel universe in its early days. There is so much content here. There's the Cyborg movie, there's the Flash movie, there's Justice League Part 2 and 3. There's so much content set up in this movie that, once again, it saddens me that we're not going to get any of this.
Yeah, there's like this new evil league of bad guys coming up.
Yeah.
There's also shout out to Martian Manhunter.
Oh, Martian Manhunter comes in this movie. Huh?
Yeah.
You cut Martian Manhunter? Oh my god. Wait, I'm sorry. Really quick. I read something that originally it was not supposed to be Martian Manhunter. It was supposed to be Green Lantern, or AKA John Stewart.
What?
Yeah.
As Green Lantern?
Yes.
Not the comedian John Stewart.
No, not the comedian.
The
character John Stewart, who is a black
Green Lantern.
What? No.
The
first black Green Lantern character. And he in an interview with it might have been like IGN or New York Times, I'm not entirely sure, but he was literally told that he was not allowed to film that scene.
Odd. Probably because they have plans for Green Lantern in the future.
Okay.
I would hope. My hope is
I
that
would also
they have
hope.
plans for Green Lantern in the future, and not just, we don't want another black superhero in this movie, because that would be fucked.
But it wouldn't be surprising,
No.
considering what Ray Fisher has said against Joss Whedon and the rest of WB Corporate.
Yeah.
I'd also like to quickly just shout out Lois Lane for having a complete character arc as well.
Yeah.
Like giving her actual scenes.
Yeah.
She's not just writing puff pieces for the Daily Planet. She's actually left her job.
It's not just the idea of the character. We actually get to see new content for each character.
Yes.
For every character, even Superman's mom.
Even Clark. Clark gets new stuff. A
So
new
much new
understanding
stuff.
of who this character could be and should be.
So cool.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Yeah, and that ending fight was like
Epic.
kind of blew my socks off. In the theatrical cut, it's like Superman finally comes back, and then he's just like, haha, I'm faster than you, I can do all this shit that you can't. And then eventually like Steppenwolf gets so scared that it's like, oh, you're scared? You mean the thing that your demons are attracted to? Now you're dead because of your own faults. In this movie, it is not the hero, it's not the villain falters, so the villain loses. It's the heroes conquer. And when that teleportation portal opens up and they cut off Steppenwolf's head and send his ass back to Darkseid's like planet, right there I was like, this gives me all the motivation from both sides for like whatever for the rest of the non-existent series. That's all I need to see, because that's a huge middle finger from planet Earth to Darkseid. And I'm just like, yes. Oh, and he's gonna come back and be like, you killed my lieutenant, and just
But it's also it feels like its own thing. Like, whereas it very easily could have been you killed my lieutenant, much like Thanos in Guardians of the Galaxy,
Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah.
Ultron, or any of these movies where the movie in particular I'm thinking of where he stood up and went, I'll do it myself.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
It doesn't feel like
first
that.
Avengers. Yeah.
This instead feels like not my lieutenant has failed and I'm gonna get vengeance. It feels like this fuck up who I didn't respect in the first place failed. Big whoop. I guess I'm gonna have to go conquer Earth myself now. Yeah. Darkseid does not feel like Thanos anymore. He doesn't feel like the big bad behind the curtain. He feels like the guy who's like, you want to disrespect me? Fine. I'm going to come back and kill you. I'm not doing this to save the universe. I'm not doing this for some moral high ground. I'm doing this because I want to kill you. And that to me is scarier than Thanos. Yeah. Thanos wanted to do something that he thought was right. Darkseid knows he's wrong and doesn't care. That's awesome.
The vision scene where Cyborg is like trying to split the mother box and he gets this insane glimpse of the future that is like, as an audience member, is so terrifying, because you're like, wait a minute, this is what's gonna happen next. I thought, because in the theatrical cut, it's just like split the cube. It goes from Cyborg like trying to split the cubes, and then Superman comes and helps him, and that's it. They split the cubes, no problem. In this movie, it's
they fail.
I'm splitting the cube. I know we're about to fail, and there's nothing I can do to stop this.
And then they do fail. It's not we're about to fail and somehow we make it happen. No, they fail. They fail brutally. And Flash has to, for the first time, not the first time in the movie, but like the first time that I really felt the stakes are like incredibly high, has to step up and like make it happen. And because we've established Flash as a full character, I'm not sitting there being like, well, the comic relief guy's not gonna do it. I'm going, oh my gosh, this connects to the scene he had with his father. This connects to the rule he made earlier. This connects to saving Iris. Everything tied together to say Flash is a superhero. He's not just the sidekick. He's not just the comic relief. Flash is the guy that when the chips are down, you want him there. Whereas in the theatrical cut, with both Cyborg and Flash, and even sometimes with Aquaman, I was like, well, the real heroes are Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman. They're the guys that I want on the front line. Mm-hmm. They're the guys that I want there for the big fight. The other three, they're cool, but I mean, what are they really gonna do? In this movie, all of them mattered. All of them had to be there. If even one of them had said no, if even one of them had hesitated, they would have lost. They needed all of them in that final battle in order to actually make it happen.
I can't believe the planet explodes in this movie. That was crazy, because we got that vision scene of this dark future where Superman loses Lois Lane and Darkseid is like, my son, and then Superman becomes evil, thus giving us context to the nightmare scenes that we got in both the theatrical cut and Batman versus Superman. But then once again, we see them lose. Like, the planet explodes. They separate the
dies.
Like, everyone dies, and Flash is like, not on my watch, sir. Like,
gotta break the rule, Barry.
Hero moments. Zack Snyder.
And moments that are not hero ex machina. It's not, oh, I've suddenly discovered that I have this super special power. He's explained earlier, listen, guys, I don't like running this fast because I do weird things with time. I can mess with time. I can break. Like, I know these things about myself to establish it. It tells us early on this is going to matter. And then it does. So good. So good. I'm so impressed. I loved it.
Yeah. I loved it. I want to watch it again, honestly.
Me too. We're going to watch that black and white cut because apparently it has a different ending.
Apparently, yeah. And also, just this is really minor. I really like that aspect ratio change.
It looked pretty.
Yep,
It looked
didn't mind it at all.
so pretty, and I can only imagine what it's like to watch this in an IMAX theater,
I know.
where that aspect ratio is fully taken advantage of. This would have been an incredible movie to see in theaters, but this is also a movie that I don't know if it would have happened had we not been in a pandemic.
Probably not. I don't think we
Yeah.
ever would have seen this version.
That's sad
My
Yeah.
my
because
biggest,
years went by.
yeah. My biggest thing about this particular cut that I wish we had gotten to see it in theaters is like thinking back to seeing Infinity War and Endgame, and like the moment when Captain America like gets the hammer and everyone in the theater like applauded or cheered or like yelled. I wish I had been able to get that with Barry running back.
There were moments that we were sitting at watching it together at home and being like, yes.
It's great.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. This movie makes me miss the movies.
Yes.
Right? Like this is why we go and see movies,
Mhm.
right? Whether they be action-packed summer blockbuster extravaganzas or just like small intimate stories, the Snyder Cut delivers on both.
Yeah.
It delivers such a grand scale tale, but also have these intimate character moments in which I think everyone can find something to relate to from each of these heroes.
Yep.
From Superman's emphasis on grief to Batman, who is known for being so broody and dark, being like our character that like all hope is within Batman. There's a scene right before the final battle where Alfred's like, how do you know this will work? And Batman's just like, faith, Alfred, faith. And that's where I'm like, that's the Ben Affleck Batman that we've been wanting.
Yeah.
That's the character that we've been wanting to see.
Yeah.
And we would have gotten it in his own solo movie, but DC made Ben Affleck quit. So we don't get that.
Listen, there's a lot of setup from this movie. Batman 2 would have involved, because that's the other like very minor line change. In the theatrical cut, Lex Luthor says, I'm making a league. In the Snyder cut, Lex Luthor just says, I have information for you. His name is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And that changes the stakes entirely, because that means in Ben Affleck's solo Batman movie, we would have gotten Batman getting attacked on both sides of his identity. We would have gotten our Cyborg movie. Who knows what that would have been like, but I would have been fully on board after this.
Honestly, I don't know that they would have necessarily done a Cyborg movie. I think they would have been far more likely to do a Teen Titans movie.
Cyborg movie was on slate
Interesting.
beforehand. So was the Flash. The Flash is still getting his own movie, but the Snyder Cut isn't considered canon.
No, it's not.
Stupid.
Very.
Stupid.
And we're not going to get Billy Crudup as Flash's dad anymore.
No,
because he wasn't brought back for the Flash movie.
We're not gonna see Batman's nightmare come to fruition. Because Zack Snyder said that would have been part 2 and 3. Part 2 would have been Darkseid invades and the heroes lose, and part 3 would have been that very interesting epilogue scene in which we see Batman teaming up with Joker, Deathstroke, Mera from Aquaman, Cyborg, the Flash, which now the dream that Batman has in Batman vs Superman makes sense, where the Flash comes back and says, Lois Lane, she's the key. And it's like, you kind of get like this gist that it might make sense in the theatrical cut, but then we see the Flash in that armor.
Yeah.
In the scene.
I was like, does he have a beard? And he does.
Yeah. Just so much awesome setup that like, I can't believe that I feel sad that we're not gonna get more we're gonna get more DC movies, but we're not gonna get them in this vein,
right?
Of this caliber.
Caliber. And it's like I said, when I finished watching Snyder Cut and I was thinking about it this morning, Zack Snyder has managed to reach end game levels of stakes in just one movie. And if DC would continue with the Snyderverse, then you know what? Sign me up. I'll take back everything I said about DC and be like, DC can make superhero movies, but they're not.
My final thing that I want to say on this.
Final thoughts, yes.
Final thoughts. To the corporate at DC. We're not stupid. Stop treating your audience like they're idiots. We're not nerds who live in their mother's basement who don't know how to talk to women. We're not keyboard warriors. Like, your audience has intellect. Your audience sees when you mess up. Your audience recognizes when you change cast members. We're gonna ask questions. We're gonna see your flaws. The thing that's not working is not everyone making the movies. It's the consistent failure on your part. So stop getting your fingers involved and do better, DC.
Do better, DC. Yes.
Do better, DC.
Every episode.
Every
Should
episode,
be
but
the Do Better podcast, honestly.
That kind of sounds nice.
but just in all, like, all jokes aside, DC, you have the capacity to make good movies. We've seen it.
Yeah.
Stop trying to be Marvel. You're not. No one's ever thought you were Marvel. We never wanted you to be Marvel. We wanted you to be DC. And when you are DC, you're great. When you capture the essence of your characters, when you let directors do what they want to do and tell the stories they want to tell, Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, Zack Snyder's Justice League, the original Wonder Woman, when you do these things, we commit to it and we love it. And when you don't, you fail miserably. Stop thinking you know better than your directors. You don't. You're just going to keep failing, and it's going to cost you in the long run. You guys could have succeeded so heavily with this version of Justice League, and you didn't. Do better.
Jacob, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Great movie. They cut exactly what they needed to cut. They added back exactly what needed to be back. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the black and white, more noir version of it, because I was like trying to picture some of these shots in grayscale, and boy, oh boy, are they gonna be mwah. So yeah, those are my final thoughts. Great movie.
Yeah, this is like this Justice League is a tale for the ages, right? Like, this Justice League proves that you can have an R-rated superhero movie. This is the epic that we wanted. This is the Justice League that we wanted. 4 hours aside, you give the audience what they want, you know, and you treat them like adults. And that's what this movie does. It treats its audience with care. It treats its characters with care. Its shots with care. Its villains with care, which, once again, even Marvel fails to do sometimes.
Yep.
And like, I feel proud of Zack Snyder for being able to get his vision across and show the world that superhero movies are valid.
Yeah.
In this medium, you know, like, we have Martin Scorsese is like, superhero movies are just are like a roller coaster, you know, they're just like theme park attractions. And Zack Snyder says no. Watch this movie. It's great.
As one final point for that, because we didn't really talk about it, and I really did want to. Zack Snyder understands grief like very few that I've ever seen create film. There's one particular moment where there's just, it's a simple shot. There's just a sign on the side of a building that just says, "You are not alone," which is a callback to the tragic event that happened with his daughter. And I really want to applaud him for the fact that he truly understands what grief looks, sounds, and feels like, and was able to put that on a screen. It should be admired, the care that he put into this film. It was an epic, as Jeremy said, but at the same time, it had immense heart and really felt like it cared. So
Respect.
I want to respect that.
Yeah. All right. And on that note,
what other content have we consumed this week?
Snyder cut. Me personally, still watching Jujutsu Kaisen.
Showed me the first episode of it.
showed Logan the first episode of it. He seemed to enjoy it.
Pretty awesome.
Playing so many games. I've just been buying games like a lunatic recently. Luigi's Mansion 3, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity, a lot of Mario Kart 8 online. Still playing Kentucky Route Zero TV edition. I'm in Act 4. Things are still crazy. Still playing Apex Legends. I got into Call of Duty Warzone. I know I told myself I wouldn't do it, but screw it.
Okay.
You know. New Brockhampton single is out. Kind of bumps. The Montero, Call Me by Your Name by Lil Nas X. That song bumps. Lil Nas, please make songs longer than 2 minutes. You're so good. That video, the gay representation, it warms my heart and it makes me such a happy individual. And yeah, Jacob, what are you consuming?
All right. Last Friday, the Justin Bieber album came out. I've been enjoying 3 songs, particularly Off My Face, Die For You, featuring Dominic Fike, and Peaches, featuring Daniel Caesar and Giveon.
My dad
Great
likes that song.
track. Those 3 are my favorite.
That's how I know
Also,
it's a hit.
Today, he released a Triple Chuck Deluxe, which has 5 new songs. Check them out if you're a fan. I've also been... I watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I loved that first episode. I'm looking forward to watching another one today. It's Friday.
Yeah.
And other than that, been watching some silly shows like Catfish, just to pass the time sometimes. And yeah, haven't been on the game train lately, but maybe soon. Logan.
I finished the story of Assassin's Creed Unity.
Hey, I could delete it. Oh no, we still have DLC to play.
Yeah, we got a couple more missions to do. Playing Apex Legends. I'm editing a lot, so I don't really get to watch a lot, but I have been continuing on my little Criminal Minds train. Very much enjoying that show. Lil Nas X song, fantastic. Loved it. Can't really think of much else. The Snyder Cut really is the thing that I'm super hyped for this week. And then I do want to get into Falcon and the Winter Soldier because I heard it was really good.
You still haven't checked it out, bruh?
I haven't. I know. I'm the worst. Second episode comes out tonight. Or is out today.
It's already out.
So yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to. I'm trying to think. I feel like I've watched something else, but I don't think I have. Finishing season 1 of Fantasy High. Great show.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Great. With that, we hope you at home enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching the Packcast, aka the Do Better podcast. DC, do better. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe to Blackwolves. Like this video. Check out our Instagram at Blackwolves Productions. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Bye.